Welcome back to our latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President, Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training. My special guest today is Benjamin Costa, who is the Representative Director, Managing Director of Maison du Chocolat Japan. Fantastic to meet you again, and I saw you give a presentation, excellent presentation, at the French Chamber about what you're doing, and you're opening up a brand new shop in the new Takanawa Gateway complex, which I visited. It's a very nice arrangement you've got there, the cafe and the shop. It's a nice combination. So you're doing lots of innovative things, and we've got some product here today. This is the Christmas one, I think you mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm a big chocolate fan, I have to say. So
good news.
It's a big pleasure for me to introduce you to the show. So. Maybe people don't know too much about the background of the company. I know it's a very well-established company. Maybe just give them a little bit of background about the roots of the company and how long you've been in Japan, and then we'll talk a little bit about your background and how you came to become the head of Japan.
Okay, let's go. Thank you. Firstly, thank you for inviting me to the interview, Greg. Thanks a lot. I'm very delighted to be with you today. So surely I can give you some background about Maison du Chocolat. So Maison du Chocolat is a luxury chocolate brand born in Paris in 1977.
So when you talk about luxury,
ouais.
Now, that's a key word in the chocolate world.
I guess so.
So, because a lot of people eat terrible, cheap chocolate. So when we talk about luxury chocolate, how would people understand? I mean, if they taste it, they'll understand it, but just intellectually, how do they understand? What makes it luxury?
Oh, this is a very good question. So, and for that, we need to, of course, at first, to understand the background, the roots of the brand. So that means it's born in 1977, created by Robert Lynx, and it was a visionary people, a person who loves the chocolate and wanted really to promote as much as he can the chocolate and to make it like a piece of art and to elevate it like a luxury product. The chocolate. And so that's why he worked a lot. And this is luxury. That means it's a package. He wanted to have something with a very, very extreme emotional recipe, for sure, playing more on aromatics and compared to origin, for example, for some. And also not only to work on the beautiful chocolate, but also on the packaging, to make something like an écrin, like something very special. And of course, using only the excellence of the know-how he had at this moment. So this made really the luxury chocolate for us.
Because 1977, we had chocolate, tons of chocolate, no shortage of chocolate.
Yes.
So for someone to come into the market in 77, they have to come in with something that's totally differentiable, credible, and of course successful in terms of the taste is the test of everything. So it's a very bold idea in a very, we call a red ocean market, which is the chocolate market. So he's obviously been very successful to do that. So you mentioned before about the aromatics rather than the location, because I know a lot of chocolate promotion is based around where the cacao is coming from and that type of thing, but he took a different route. And so when you think about that, I wonder, where was the inspiration, for him to think that direction? Because I don't ever remember hearing anybody else talking about the aromatics of chocolate until this time.
Alors, firstly, surely regarding the origin or the direction for that, everything is coming from Nicolas Cloizeau today. Before Robert Lynx, now Nicolas Cloizeau. Nicolas Cloizeau is the meilleur ouvrier de France, the creative chief of la Maison du Chocolat, working in Paris for sure, because you need to know that all the chocolates are made by hand close to Paris in our atelier. So it's very something specific, and we are... Nicolas is driving a team of 35 chocolatiers only, working on that. So after everything is coming from the aid of Nicolas, thinking about a new recipe, new things for chocolate, a new way to develop the chocolate and to elevate the chocolate, every time innovating. So looking for something new. And once again, most of the time, for sure, every time, he's using excellent ingredients. So the best cacao of the world, this is sure. And mostly in South of America. surely, instead of Africa, to be honest, we have just a few cacao coming from Africa. And every time, for Nicolas, the way to deal with is really to think about how to assemble the taste, the ingredient, what will be the emotion people will have degusting, testing the product. So this is really the key for him.
It's a very abstract idea, isn't it?
Exactly.
I think if I think about sense of smell, you can recreate a place you've been in when you recognize a smell from that particular experience. You can connect with that. And taste to emotion, that's quite interesting concept. How do you get from taste to emotion? How does that work?
But it's work naturally, I want to say. When you are testing something for you as well, when you are testing a new food or your preferred food, for example, you are feeling an emotion, surely. And the best way after is to improve and to duplicate this emotion, I guess.
Because normally with food products, it's the sweetness, it's the saltiness, it's these sort of variables, right? And so some chocolate can be rather salty depending what they put in it. Other can be extremely sweet or not so sweet. So, but the idea of going from a taste to an emotion, that's a very interesting concept.
It's interesting concept, but to test a chocolate is really, how I want to say, is not a protocol, but it's really a long approach. That means you have firstly the vision, so you are looking at your chocolate, after you are smelling the chocolate, you are croaking in your chocolate, so and after you have the emotion of the taste inside and the long in bush.
That's a point too, isn't it? Cheap chocolate has a bitter aftertaste, I found. You know, you eat
and very quick.
Yes, cheap
surely.
Chocolate, it's short, and then it changes from sweetness to something rather bitter in your mouth. You regret. I hate that chocolate.
This maybe was very bad, I guess.
But I mean, you get the cheaper chocolate, you buy a cheap chocolate, and that's the regret is there. But when you have something of quality, I never felt a regret.
You will never have this. The best way, for example, I love to eat some chocolate from Maison du Chocolat is every day coming back to home and just to open the box and to choose the right one, depending my day, depending my how I am, how I feel, and this is really wonderful. And anyway, which one I am taking, to be honest, I've never regretted. So it's really wonderful. So no, it's really that, and it's really how to play, as you mentioned, with the acidity, with the sweetness, with the bitterness, with so many things of it, and to create something to surprise everyone. For example, this year we launched a new collection named Insolite. So Insolite in France is something very unusual. So that means Nicolas thought about a collection using, for one recipe, using an unusual ingredient. And the first was oyster. So to play with oyster and to make a ganache with
chocolate.
Oyster with chocolate.
Okay, so I don't
it was
many people watching this can ever imagine putting chocolate and oyster together. That's very unique.
And to create a ganache with that. Wow. And after, in a small piece of chocolate, to have really an emotion. And honestly speaking, and I am not at all a fan of oyster, but it was really amazing with a weird taste. And
I quite like oysters, so I think I'd probably be pretty good.
I'm sure.
Nice Aussie oyster and a white wine or something tastes pretty good. That's very unique, isn't it? I mean, oyster and chocolate, that's really something you wouldn't think about. But that's, again, I like the boldness, I like the challenging the market, challenging people's conceptions about what you can do with the product. That's very exciting. And how about those things in Japan, though? I mean, Japan's a rather conservative market in many ways for a lot of products. I'm just wondering, does oyster and chocolate go down big in Japan? Because oysters are not that big here anyway, but do oysters and chocolate, is that something people have gravitated towards? I've been interested in that.
Alors, unfortunately, it was not sold in Japan. It was the first one of the collection, so it was launched only in Paris at first.
Okay, right.
And now we launched the curry and solid chocolate last summer.
Curry and
chocolate. Just curry.
It's another interesting
like
one.
A praline. It's wonderful. Curry from Madras. It's wonderful. And just a few weeks ago, we launched caviar. And this is really amazing mariage, I want to say.
We're talking about a different level of chocolate here, aren't we? Which is good. I mean, that's if you're going to go into a crowded market like the chocolate market, you've got to have something that's really going to stand out. And those sorts of I guess, sort of brand building recipes or changing people's concepts, mindset about the company is a good start. Let's talk a little bit about yourself. You've been in Japan quite a while, but give us a little bit of the backstory on Benjamin Costa and how he is now running, this company in Japan. How did you start in business and how did you get here?
How I start the business? It's quite also insolite, I want to say, because I made some education in engineering school, in civil engineering. But just after, I took the opportunity to...
So hang on a minute. We're going from general engineering to running a chocolate business. That's a pretty good leap, I have to say. Well done.
Yes, for sure. After, engineering education gives you some very analyzing mindset and structure your brain, I guess. So this was the most important, I guess, for me. But I decided to take another opportunity because at this time, more than 20 years ago, I had to work to pay my education, for sure. And as a part-timer, I was working for an action sports stores because I was one of the first in France to practice kite surfing. And I was engaged soon after as a manager of kite surfing area and sellers. And it was the golden age of the action sport at this moment. And it was very, very interesting. I was very enthused and exciting to take the position. So I decided to go there. I was young. I was executive. I was traveling 3 times a year all over the world to test materials, so it was really wonderful.
And if you're doing kite surfing, you're going to some of the better places in the world, I imagine, with fantastic weather, great ocean environment. It all sounds pretty good, actually.
Actually, it's quite good because not only kiter, but surfing as well, snowboarding. So I am practicing everything. I was and I still. And it was a huge opportunity for me to develop this business in explosion at this moment and to develop e-commerce and retail business. So we grew up a lot. I decided to move after 7 years, making a big gap in the increasing and the growth. Firstly for 2 years to help my father to develop his business, and after to come back to the action sports and to take for 4 years the first European website for kite surfing as well in the south of France, and to develop as well this store with new sports, with everything.
So at that time, sort of web, I guess the web was still relatively new.
But it was really new,
right?
Yes,
so
2000.
You're a type of pioneer.
Exactly.
For the internet and web creation, and the potential of that for e-commerce is quite
exactly. And that's why it was very amazing because, for example, for Awaiser, the first store I was working for, it was really the beginning of the e-commerce. That means just before this period, it was only informative pages on the website.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was
text.
just a text. And after it was just informative pages with a price, and that's all. And we switched for the real e-commerce. And so it was a time, and that's why also it was really exciting for me. It was the beginning of everything. So not only in the extreme sports, because it was a time you had a big name in the sector like Burton Snowboard or something like this, and I was working with everyone to structure their business also because they were looking for how to work with this new digital way to activate the sales, and also with the e-commerce firm. So before Amazon, we had, it was in French, but some Rue du Commerce or some platform like this to work with.
But in those days, how do you pay for it online? People are very hesitant to put their credit card information into the internet, to buy some product. I mean, when you think back, today we don't think anything about it, we just do it. But you go back, people are like, I don't know if I want to buy that online. I put my credit card in there, they're going to empty my account. This is terrifying, I'm scared. So, we talk about it today like, of course, it's like breathing. But the time you're talking about, you've got to overcome a lot of resistance and hesitation on people's part about taking that risk, I guess.
For sure. But we needed to create a real trust relationship with the customers, for sure, in front of their computer. And it was the time also, this sector in particular had a lot of fresh energy, to be honest. A lot of people was practicing sports, was making like this with a lot of new idea. It is with some people with my age who are making the business today, to be honest, and we can see the different orientation of the brands today, very linked to that. And so that means we created a very, very solid website with a very strong experience inside, immersive experience. Today, we are speaking about immersive experience for brands and everything. For me, I was a pluridisciplinary brand retailer. So that means we are selling a lot of different kind of sports or kind of brands. So our brand was our store. So we needed to make something very new, something very special as an experience to purchase a product to us and not to the competitors or not to the brand, because the brand was coming also in the dance. So we developed many first attractive experience, secondly trusted method and trusted how I can say for the payment, for example, for the payment method, to double check the card at the end. So it is at that time we created all this procedure, to be honest.
Yeah, which is actually breakthrough. When you think about e-commerce just with zero.
With
zero.
Method of payment
huge,
as well, for example. The method of payment, before it was CB, after we are thinking about how we can add one. So it was cash when delivery, for example. It was, we created everything. Cash and delivery in France, we created with a cash and delivery company, for example. We were requested that to have more trust for the customer, because you will pay when you will be delivered. So you are breaking really something, a gap. So many things like this was really exciting.
So you're a really pioneer, Benjamin. You're the sort of cutting edge of e-commerce, actually. I mean, you probably went into it from a sporting, you love sports and you love action sports and you have that passion, but actually you wind up being at the forefront of e-commerce in the world, which is again quite remarkable. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what happened after that? How long were you doing that, and then what happened next?
After that, as I mentioned, I was after taking the responsibility of a kite surfing company, and after 4 years, after strong development as well, we moved from 1,000 square meter warehouse and office to 3,000. So something very big, developing all the sports, I want to say. But for that, we moved from Paris to the south of France, close to Aix-en-Provence. And a few years ago, I met my wife, a Japanese, in Paris. And surely Paris is not the same thing than the south of France. So I thought it was a small village. We are living in close to Aix-en-Provence, so in Provence, so very wonderful, but not so easy to live. On top of that, with a baby, we had our daughter at this moment, 5 months. She had, and since more than that, and before my wife, I discovered by hazard, to be honest, Japan. So now, more than 20 years ago, I visited for the first time Japan. I wanted to go to China, and one of my friends I was working with said to me, "I have 2 friends in Japan. I know nothing about China. If you want, we can go to Japan."
Let's go to Japan.
So why not? So why not? It's very far away. Every time before, I was traveling in Europe, and I was thinking, why not? So I purchased a Japanese method, because I was thinking that it's so far away. I need to know some words to be able to communicate with them. So I started to study by myself, the Japanese, a few months ago before. And after, we go to Japan, and I fall in love with Japan, to the countryside, to the nature, to the people, wonderful people. Not really the city. I'm not fan of the city. I prefer really the countryside, the country part. And since this time, so I am traveling every year in Japan for 3 weeks to 1 month, from Okinawa
personally,
to Rishi.
Just for yourself, not to do
personally,
it for just your
personally, but every time I was thinking there is so many opportunity to do here. So every time I was looking for to meet somebody very important in my sector. So that's mean the CEO of Patagonia, the CEO of North Face, or somebody like this to catch some information. But I had this new opportunity in kitesurf, so I was working on that. And 4 years after taking this opportunity, I was looking at my family, I was thinking about that, and to say, okay, maybe it's the time to make another step. First step was from Paris to the south of France, because it's another world as well, and from the south of France to Japan. So for that, I decided to create an importer company to import some French and European outdoor brand, because I know quite everyone in the sector. But unfortunately, when I was signing this company, I lost my investor. Sometimes it's happened. But it's like that. But because I had this in mind, I already ordered my container to move. I was very focused on that. I said to my wife, okay, but let's go. We can go there. It's a new adventure. So I prepare everything, and coming just before to install myself with my family in Japan. I was just making a go back to Japan and met one of my friends, the boss of Big Sports in Japan, and he introduced me one people purchasing a marina in Osaka, and it was really an amazing project because the project was to develop the marina around marine sports, hotel, restaurants. Wonderful. So because you were speaking about sports, but my passion, to be honest, is to develop business.
When you say Osaka, is this down towards Wakayama? Is down that side? Of the
it's
coast?
really Osaka, right?
Right.
It's
a
marina right in Osaka.
Okay, that's interesting.
Voilà, and between Osaka and Kobe, but going to Kobe, but it was really in Osaka. But the fact when I started to work on that was this person had an amazing project, but it was really to develop for a long time because during 5 years he purchased for not so expensive price the marina, but with as a condition to not touch the marina for the next 5 years.
Oh.
So, and I learned that just after. So I say, I'm sorry, but I can't wait. I have to work. So I decided to leave, and I was in Japan with my family without work. So, okay, challenging moment. And because I was linked to the French Chamber of Commerce at this moment to create my company just before, I was checking some news from them, and I saw that they were looking for somebody, an intern, to drive a new office in Osaka to develop the activity outside of Tokyo. So I sent my resume, and the French Chamber came back to me to say, it's a joke, because we are looking for an intern. You are a GM, so it's quite different. And I explained that with an intern, I'm quite sure it will be difficult to develop the business. If you want to develop your business, you need somebody who will be able to discuss face-to-face with the president of the company and to make something strong. And speaking about that, we find a good balance, I guess. And I joined French Chamber of Commerce as a general manager of Osaka office to develop all the activity.
What year was that?
It was in 2015, right? 15.
Yeah, I went to Osaka 2006, actually, and came out in... sorry, not 2006. I quit in 1996. Sorry, 1996. I went there, and then came out in 2000. So I was just a bit before you. But I love it down there. I love Kobe. I love
Osaka. My wife is from Osaka. That's why we came to Osaka at first to be with the family. En fait. Voilà. So it was for that. And so it was incredible, the French Chamber of Commerce for 1 year and a half. And the target for me was to learn more about ecosystem. It was more to create a strong network. So this was really the key. But after 1 year and a half, I decided to make something because it's amazing to introduce people with people, company with company, but I was a little bit frustrating at this moment. We were developing a lot, but to not move forward in the real development of a company. So I created my international business company in Osaka, GBNB, with a partner, with another French person. And it was working very well, to be honest. It was very working
this in... doing what, market entry or?
Our boss, market entry, and with Japanese company wanted to go to develop their business in Europe and in US.
Oh, okay.
So it was really in both sides.
Both sides.
Right. And it was very, very amazing because we are working in a different sector, in luxury, in high-tech, in culture, in food and beverage.
Quite variable, yeah.
Well, because I love that. I think we can be inspiring by all the sector for another sector. So this is really amazing.
I did market entry for about 12 years for Australia. So I know that variation of products and services you cover could be anything, basically.
Exactly. But it depends. Everything for me, but the most important is to be inspired by that. So I was in love to be sometime with some prospect, to discuss with them and to say, oh, it's wonderful. I was like this to explain the strategy I had in mind coming, and sometimes to say, no, I'm sorry, we will do nothing because I have no inspiration. So it was amazing. So to have this to be free to say that. So I love that. So,
and then how long did you do that for?
This for 4 years. 4 years,
yeah.
4 years.
What happens after that?
But after that, honestly speaking, many people were coming to me to see if I was looking for a new job or something. So I had my company at this moment I was very happy with. And one time, because I think also, with my partner, maybe we were thinking about, okay, what would be the next step for the company? What would be the sector we want to privilege or not? And at this moment, somebody came to me. It was Maison du Chocolat. And I don't know why, I asked for more detail. And they give me with more detail. And
you probably were not that familiar with the chocolate world at that time, I imagine.
At that time, no, I knew, of course, Maison du Chocolat, but not in the chocolate sector, for sure. I never worked really connected with the chocolate sector. But what they were looking for is somebody to make a turn in the company, because it's quite traditional. It's a wonderful company, but it's traditional. So how to reconnect with the public, how to change, how to make it more appealing, how to touch a new audience and everything, as everyone are looking for today. And it was what I was doing with my company, to define a new strategy, to touch a new audience. And on top of that, half of my work was to work with craftsmanship in Kyoto, in Kansai, also to develop different way to develop their skills and to explain to them what is business also, because sometimes it's important. Making a cluster in the Daigoji, maybe you know the Daigoji, one of the most important temple in Japan, but based in Kyoto. And we created there an incubator to support the craftsmanship, to develop another new product, more fitting with the business, with the economy today, to be able to make a sustainability business. So it was completely linked, working with this kind of excellence, with craftsmanship, creating emotional also product anyway. So it was exactly the same.
So they must have sent you to the headquarters in Paris, or in France.
Yes.
So what was that like? I mean, you're coming out of, sort of active sports world. Now you're sort of dealing with all this broad range of products and services in your own company. And then suddenly you meet this very, I'm assuming, charismatic, visionary chef who's doing amazing stuff with a very red ocean business. What was that like?
It was amazing, to be honest. Amazing because also Maison du Chocolat, it is what you are saying, for sure, but it's also a part of Savencia Group. So it's a very small part in the big cheese and dairy group. The fifth in the world, as I mentioned to you before, $8 billion result sales with 22,000 people all over the world, so something very strong. And so,
which is incredible since the start. 77, I think you said this started, right? 1977, the company started, yeah?
77, right.
For the Maison du Chocolat, he launched, right?
77, yes.
So in that period, what I'm saying, in that period of time, that's unbelievable.
But yes, for sure. They purchased at the beginning of the story. And it was because Jean-Noël Bongrain, the president who created Savencia before Bongrain, was in love with chocolate and La Maison du Chocolat and decided to purchase. He was in love with Robert Lynx as well, so they decided to develop the business. So this is something very strong because when I made the trip to France, to Paris, I went to Viroflay, to the HQ of Savencia, and I met really charismatic people. Amazingly, working at first for Maison du Chocolat, I met the CEO at this time, Guillaume Mazarguil, who I thanks again to recruit me at this moment. It was a wonderful moment, and he's very brilliant CEO. And after I came this was in Nanterre, to discover a little bit more about Maison du Chocolat and to understand the vision they had at this moment. And after to move to Viroflay and to meet the general manager of the group in the group we are a part of. And after to meet also Armand Bongrain, the president of Gourmet, the group I have a part of, and the son of Jean-Noël Bongrain, who created all Savencia. So it was really, really an amazing experience for me.
And I guess also, you didn't have any particular strong leadership of Japanese team member background when you took this job on, because you'd probably running your own company. In Japan, you're running your own company, right? You're doing everything yourself, and maybe got part-timers or something, but it's not like running an operation that's existing with lots of people working in it. And so that must have been challenging, I think, because you may have managed businesses in France, but that's different. That's France. We're now in Japan. So what were things when you started running, an actual big organization in Japan? What sort of leadership things came up for you? It might have been challenging or may not have been challenging or just different or interesting or surprising or not so surprising or that's common or whatever. How was your reaction when you started actually leading a team in Japan?
Now, I think that leading a team is every time challenging, to be honest. This is the most challenging when you are driving a business. Voilà, even the business. So even more the business. After, it's different. And in the same time, you have some similarity. So I drive a lot of business in France with quite young people as well. So quite not so easy to manage. And this was in Paris and after in the south of France also. And it was not a joke. That means the culture is a little bit different from Paris and Marseille, for example. It's wonderful culture, but when you are coming from Paris, you are a Parisian. You are not a Marseillais. So it's completely different. So even after 4 years working with them, they are saying to you, oh, you can't understand because you are a Parisian.
Oh, really?
Okay. So it's like in Japan. You can't understand because you are not Japanese. Okay. So that's why it was the first step. And after coming to Japan.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that.
So this is really interesting. And after, honestly speaking, every time I am analyzing everything. So, and I was really analyzing the way other companies are managing their people, are creating, for most of them, a Japanese company with a Japanese mindset, with a Japanese process. And I was thinking, it's not at all to say that in French we have really the mindset to be implemented everywhere. No, not at all. It's not the best one. And there is no best mindset anyway. But the target for me was really to think about a balance, to say, okay, some part is good, some part is not. Same thing for France, same thing for Japan, same thing for everywhere. So when I was looking for some international company with a really strong Japanese mindset, I was thinking, maybe we could challenge a little bit more. And that's why also I decided to join Maison du Chocolat. It was because the change they were proposing to me, the new strategy was really interesting, but also to manage people, in fact. To challenge myself to manage Japanese people, because I have, and even today, 100% Japanese people in my company. I have the only one foreigners.
Voilà. My company too. And I guess also, it's interesting because you're not only coming in to run the company, you're coming in to run change management in the company. It's hard enough to run a company that exists and is running smoothly, but to come in and say, right, I'm here, everything's going to change around here, guys and gals, watch out, here we go. That is, again, a very, very difficult thing. So what did you find worked well to engage the team, to follow you, to make these changes? What worked well for you to do that?
Now, first, when I jump into this position, for sure, everyone was looking at me and to say, okay, you will leave very soon. So you will not stay here. Because this is a Japanese mindset. We are here since 27 years now in Japan. Okay. Most of people at this moment was working for the company since a while, and they saw maybe 4 or 5 GM in Maison du Chocolat. So they were thinking, okay, he will come, he will work like an intermediate with a French team, and it's okay. And firstly, I explained to them that I was not here for that. First, I am here to stay in Japan because I'm living in Japan. My wife is Japanese, and I feel good in Japan. So I guess I will not go.
You can't outlast me.
So voilà. Secondly, I explained to them that okay, I didn't sign for the job maybe for what happened previously. That means just to be an intermediate and to be the voice of France. No. We need to change the way to work. We have to make a turn. So that means to reconnect with the Japanese public, to listen to you, to develop everything with you, and just to adapt to the business, what it was not done before. So to make a real adaptation, so that means to work closely with you, with my expert at this moment, and to change a little bit for them the vision they have of the business. And also, this was the first thing. Of course, as soon as I put a new idea on the table, there were a lot of things to say, we know. And what we know with Japanese is we have to make a small success every time. Small success is giving a better success, a bigger success, and a bigger success. And with that, you are creating a strong trust relationship. So And of course, I was really analyzing since a while, en fait. So I knew the approach I will engage for that. So firstly, I jumped in January 2020, just before COVID, but we had already some collection ongoing. So we were to think about, for example, just new packaging. And I remember one time I was with my co-dear, the directors, and thinking about effervescence, one of the product, and they said, oh, okay, it will be like red-brown, like the marron glacé, but it's effervescence. And I say, yes, so what's the problem? It's a ganache with champagne, okay? Keep going. And champagne is more bubble, is more brightness, is more gold. And before we had a box with a gold color on it, and it was working very well. But now with a new color, more dark, not surely it will work. Good point, I say. And I'm completely okay with you. We are okay? We are okay. So I will check with friends and we will ask to change for gold. And everyone said, well, no.
They'll never agree.
Never agree. It's French is controlling everything, you know? So, okay, we will change this mindset. I came back the next week during the meeting. I said, okay, the box will be gold. I say, but no, see, surely it will be gold. It was gold. And it's surely, no, it's gold as well.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Leading is easy. Getting people to follow is the hard part. That is a great quote from Yogi Berra. Surprisingly, despite the complexities of leading here in Japan, everyone has to work it out by themselves. Foreign leaders want practical, applicable, expert advice. This is now available for the first time in history. Grab your copy of Japan Leadership Mastery on Amazon today and avoid the mystery, trial and error, especially the errors.
So it was like this, and after, to make another challenge, I wanted to make something.
That's for me interesting because you're new, you respond to the market, you come up with an idea. But back in France, they've got machines, they've got, a way of doing things. They are not understanding Japan. Probably no great incentive for anybody there to change anything. However, they supported you at the very critical moment at the beginning to make that change, which probably from their point of view, the CFO is probably going, well, that's a pretty expensive change. I'll just put that on the ledger for Benjamin on the cost side of things.
Sure.
But they supported you, and that symbolism of your ability to get headquarters to respond to the Japanese market, very, very important. And that tells me that the people back in France really understood if they want to change in Japan, then they have to spend money and maybe change systems and respond to the market and support you to make it happen. Because a lot of cases that never happens.
Surely.
Ever happens. It's no, that's it. We're not changing it. But that's very impressive to hear that response, to back you up and give you that support. That's very, very good indicator. If I was you and they did that, I'd be very, very confident. Okay, good. They got my back here. They understand what I'm doing. Good. I can now show the team. It's a very good indicator.
I was very interesting because this was the first small Jiseki, the small success I made. And the last one, you understood, it was Takanawa, where you came a few weeks ago. So, and it's another challenge, a bigger challenge. Yes. But what I want to say is, when you are working as this position in another country, in a subsidiaries, you are working with your team for sure. You need to create a trust relationship with your team. This is amazingly sure. But you have also to create a strong trust relationship with the headquarters. This is one of the most, I want to say sometimes the most difficult, because you are far away. You are not discussing every time to the coffee machine and everything, so you have not the last word, but you need to keep this trust. And when I signed my contract with them, it was a contract between us to say, I am not here to pass the information and to let them work. And not also to make this country a slave country and just to profit about everything. No, we need to create business, a long-term business, and you need to understand that, as you mentioned, we need to adapt the business. and I am here for that. If not, I have nothing to do
somebody
here.
else.
Voilà, I have nothing to do here. So that's why also, and at this moment, the CEO, Guillaume, was really open-minded for that. He was looking for that. And he was following me. And all the team, and also we were talking about how to engage everyone. He was also to explain to my team and to the team in France, okay, guys, now you will talk together. I said, what? Yes. You are asking to me some supply chain question, some quality question. Do I am a quality specialist? No. A supply I'm general manager, you know. So I'm driving the business. So no, if you want the answer, you will speak with them. For sure, I say, but the culture is totally different. We have some difficulties to understand each other. They're speaking English, but it's not the same English. Yes. But I will monitor. So this is the job. So that means you need to be everywhere. This is sure. But they are starting to work together.
I think that's another thing too with the national companies operating in Japan, that the headquarters disconnect with the local
completely
entity. You often get Japan becomes a type of castle, surrounded by a big moat called the ocean,
right.
And things here operate on their own without any connection necessarily to the headquarters, and people tend to sort of want to keep it like that, keep it Japan. This is Japan, it's different, so we have to keep it this way. But that's also, again, that ability to talk directly to the people who are in charge of the quality, and
exactly.
For them to understand, well, this is, for example, a classic in most companies is the CFO gets out the pencil, doing the numbers. Right, if we have, for example, a 3% defect rate, right, we'll make this much money. If we have a 0 defect rate, we'll make this much money. So we're okay for the 3% defect rate because we'll make more money, except when you get to Japan. And it's impossible, absolutely impossible to have a 3% defect rate. Impossible. But, people are doing the numbers. They say, well, we'll adjust it, calculate it, we'll refund the money. What have we got to do? Replace, blah, blah, blah. In the end, we make more dough. But that, when you actually speak to someone in Japan and they say to you, that's never going to work because the Japanese consumer will not accept a defect at all. 0. No such thing as we're going to try it and see if it'll test in Japan. It's got to work from day one. That direct communication, and on the France end, they go, okay, I see it.
Completely. Yeah. But if it's working in Japan, it's working everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah. I mean, why should there be a 3% defect rate anyway?
Yes. Anyway. Why? And because my sector also, we are, as we mentioned at the beginning, in the luxury sector. In the luxury, it's exactly. 0 defect. Yeah. It's perfect. Yeah. And sometimes they came to us with, it's not a defect, it's just something not 100% perfect. And we came to them, and my quality team, because me, for sure, I would say, oh, that's okay. But no, for sure. I keep my Japanese mindset sometimes, and I say, it's not okay. And she said, yes, it's not okay. She came back to France. She explained everything. I jumped on it because for sure they were explaining a lot of things. I said, no explanation. It's not perfect. And we are Maison du Chocolat, not for Japan, but for all the world. In US as well, they want the same perfect product due to the price.
I like your point, though, about, if you can match the expectations of the Japanese consumer, I don't think you can find any other consumer on the planet who's going to be more difficult, more picky,
completely,
and more demanding than the Japanese consumer. So if you're able to hit that mark, every other market's going to be a breeze by comparison. So I think it's good to have that, to raise the standard, to be not a global standard.
Exactly.
If you get it to a Japan standard, that's global automatically. Exactly. But it's not necessarily the other way around. So yeah, good point. And you talked before about trust. I know that trust is important in every culture. Absolutely, no question. But I always feel somehow in Japan it's just that bit more important here. So what have you done to work on building the trust with the team that's worked well for you?
To work with them, to follow them. It is what I mentioned. So to follow them internally and in the local market, but also with the development of the communication with France, to be every time, it's not on their side or on the French side, it's just to find the way to be together, to work as a team, to explain to everyone that the director of quality in France is not the boss, it's not their boss. I am the only boss, but I am, honestly speaking, everybody knows the organization, but I have a flat management. So we are all together. All good ideas can come from everywhere. I'm completely open for that. We can develop everything. So it was really to engage everyone on all the topics, not everyone on all the topics, but on the relevant topics for sure, to create teamwork. But it was really to be on their side, to try to engage them, to have a new vision, a new point of view, to not say every time the cashier or every time we can't change or every time no risk. No, to challenge a little bit more and to let them have some success and to follow them on that or some fail and to explain what we failed. And I was at the end the responsible, so no problem at all. So to take the responsibility of everything. So, and I think this made a very strong relationship with us. Also, as you can see, maybe I'm speaking with my energy, with my body, with everything. So, and this is really important for them, I guess, to feel, because I'm speaking Japan. I speak in Japanese, okay, but it's not perfect, and they are speaking English, but it's not perfect. So, and every time came the question, okay, what is the official language of the company? I say, there is no official language of the company. The best and the most important is communication. We will talk in English. You have not the word, you can speak in Japanese, in Portuguese, in what you want. The most important is when you are leaving the room, you understand what we talk about. That's all. And so, okay, so we are like that. So that means I open really, I guess, the chakra of everyone to make it easy for everyone. So this is something very important. And the other thing is to make them understand. So it came with some time. We are working as a team. And so I broke the wall between them because, you know, they are really working segregated like this. And really, I wanted to work as a team. For example, they were speaking at first, okay, I have one stock for my retail. I have one stock for the website. I have one stock for the corporate, the B2B. I say, no, I have one stock for Japan. So if you are not selling everything, we can switch, we can share, and depending the trend and everything. So you have to communicate between each other. So it was really how to work together.
Also Japan does like a nice silo, because I feel that people like to really very clearly define their responsibility area within a framework, and they do not want to have anything outside that framework for any accountability because they don't want to fail. They want to be measured on the thing they can control, and they want it very clearly defined, and that makes silos, you know, as opposed to we have one, you know, across the whole company. We don't have, you know, siloed products here. We've got one product. That mentality is not so easy to create in Japan. So how did you work on getting them to think in terms of where a broad unit of Japan, we're not just silos in Japan?
Maybe, as I mentioned, to work on some project first all together, and sometimes because my way to manage, because we are a small company, we are a chocolate company, so we have to do a lot of things. And honestly, I love when we are doing something fast. Well, it's not for Japan, that we know. So it's not fast, but we can do quick.
Relatively, it's fast.
Voilà, relatively quick. So I am launching some project, and I am giving the key to manage the project. For sure, sometimes it's not well organized as I would like. And I say, okay, this is just a draft. Please organize it. But voilà. So what will be your team? Who do you need to do you need to make it happen or something like this? So I give them a lot of responsibility to following them.
So you're pushing responsibility.
Exactly. And sometimes, and this is the balance, because I'm not at all a top-down, I guess you understood, a top-down guy, but sometimes I have to say to them, to force a little bit, and this is sometimes nobody is doing, not so many people is doing, so that means to say, okay, they say, oh, you have this project, it's in 6 months, it's too short. No, you didn't understood. It's not if we will do or not. It is how we will do it. It's just different.
We're not debating the time.
Voilà. But nicely, very nicely, I say, okay, so voilà. So it's just like that. Okay, we will take it. Voilà. And you are smiling, but the first time I did that was maybe 4 years ago. I started because the relationship trust relationship was coming stronger and stronger. So I put that. And once again, yesterday, I was pushing 2 new projects. Nothing to say. They understood, okay, we will have to do. We already succeeded in other projects together in short time, making something, okay, maybe not 100% perfect, but very good. So it's okay. And now we are here where we are. We open in 6 years, 7 new stores, new concepts. So we are growing up. So well, they're happy.
Also, I think you've got a very broad background, multi-countries, your different industries background. And so you bring a lot of credibility, but also, I guess, a lot of creativity. You've seen different things from different angles, even though you're an engineer. Still, you've got that creativity side, I think, listening to you. And I'm just wondering, what have you found works well to get creativity out of the team? Because we, as the leaders, can often be the sole provider of the creative direction because we've got a lot of information, a lot of drive, a lot of ideas, and we can just drive it. But sometimes we forget that the people working with us have also got valuable ideas.
Exactly.
And we may neglect those because we're driving so hard on pushing our ideas. So what have you found has worked well to get ideas out of the team?
I encourage to have some idea. That means this is what I learned very early in my job. To be honest, my first job, coming to some meeting and to say maybe late, not listening everything, to say, oh, this we have to do that, and somebody in the room say, no, this is completely stupid. We need to do that. Okay, this is a good idea. But it's not your idea. I don't care. It is not me who will manage this idea. And I think it's a good idea. So let's go. Let's prove it's a good idea. And so it was the same with them. I love to explain because I love to explain a lot of things. So I love to explain to my team this kind of example and say, what? And after we are leaving this kind of example. So around the table, I am pushing everyone. So I am launching an idea to say, okay, how we can, for example, the trend is not so good, how we can change the trend, how we can make stronger sales, how we can use another stock, I don't know. I'm waiting. And at first I was waiting. Today I have a lot of idea coming because I engage them and I explain to them I will never have the idea to follow absolutely. So I give an idea and they jump on it. And at the end it's completely a different thing. And I don't care. If it's a good idea, if we can go, I will follow them. Or sometimes it's not good, but I follow in the fail, no problem at all. And once again, I am responsible at the end because I accept it. So no problem. So I take it.
That's a good point. And what about culture? Because you have headquarter culture, and that's sort of an over umbrella culture. You start going against headquarters, you won't be here very long, you'll be gone. So you can't compromise the headquarter culture and what they think. And then we're in Japan, so we've got Japan culture. And if you go against Japan culture, you'll be gone too because it won't be successful. But then you've got Benjamin culture. You run things around here the way you like it. And you want the culture in this company the way you like it. That's you. So how do you go about building the culture that you want in Japan?
For the group, because we are speaking about that, I have the chance to work in a group. We are sharing really the same value. And this is amazing for me. We were not at all working for a group before. But it's really it's a group, but a family business. And they are really pushing the entrepreneurial, the responsible entrepreneurial. That means how to drive your business, then it is your business, like it is your business. And it is exactly what I am doing. For sure, I have to follow some guidelines, but it's exactly how I am doing it. If it would be different, I guess it should be different for me as well. So, and this it is what I am transmitted also to my team, to express and to explain to them, this, do your job like it is your company. Think about that.
Now that's interesting because that's a very capitalistic, I'm going to say American, often driven idea. You're running your own business here on behalf of the shareholders and behalf of the owners, etc. But you've got to think of it like your business. But in Japan, because of this sort of group mentality here, I wonder how people think about that because often they don't see themselves in individual terms as I'm running a business. They think I'm part of a group that's running a business. So how did you work around that individual perspective of take responsibility for your business and the sort of dynamic of the group in Japan?
Honestly, maybe naturally, I want to say, maybe with the way I am managing them, with the yearly appraisal we have also, we are going more in detail in their scope, but speaking about global, every time I am reminding about global, about local, about their service. I created also, and this maybe I've broken some rules because sometimes, it's consortium in Japan, so that means everyone need to be involved in every project. So, and I cut it. Firstly, they were not understanding. And some was thinking, why I am not in this project? And it took some time to explain, because you are not contributor on that. Sorry, but it's better to be 3 than 7 to speak about a project. We will go faster. But you will be in a new project, or we will ask you when it will be the time. So it took some time for me to implement that, but they well understood. So reducing, you understood. The group is reducing, so they have more responsibility for each of them. So at the end, they are understanding. And today, I have people really understanding their scope, the responsibilities they have when they take a decision, and I am pushing everyone to take some risk, repeating every time. So only people who are not doing nothing are not taking risk, and we need to take
that's
it.
a very difficult thing in Japan, where we talk about zero defects and risk aversion, keep the accountability as small as possible so you can't get into trouble. And yet you're saying, okay, let's take some risks here. So how do you convince them to take risk? Because it's their natural aversion to risk. Risk is, no, stay away from that. Because their experience growing up, living in Japan, is risks are bad and has a negative outcome for you. So keep away from that. But you're trying to do it the other way. So how do you encourage them to take risks?
Because sometimes you have to encourage making it strong, I want to say. So sometimes I was really straight to the point to say, I will take the responsibility. Okay. We will take this risk. And this was 3 years ago, to explain to them, okay, it's not you don't want, is, okay, you are not confident with, you don't want to take the responsibility, I will take it. And we will do like that. It was, honestly, I lived sometimes some very complicated period. Very conflict, but not visible conflict, but with big tension, until you succeed. And when you succeed, it's calm down. And they're understanding, we succeeded. Well, we succeeded. And they're taking for them. And this is really important. And that means doing that today, we are taking some risk, and they know that I will, because I am like that. But it's not only here, to be honest. The group as well. Looking me developing the business is the same thing.
Then the flip side of that is when people make mistakes. Because when you ask people to step out of their comfort zone, take a risk, do something new, no roadmap, never been done before, you're putting them in a position for failure. And Japanese don't want to fail, I mean, Carl Haney, who actually has been on this podcast, he talked about this. He said, Greg, think about failure in traditional Japan. What did that mean? That meant you did harakiri and you killed yourself to take accountability for your failure. So why do you expect modern Japanese to be accepting failure so easily? Of course not. But it depends how you handle the failure. And this is the key point. So how do you handle the failure? And I say that in the sense that I've had, we teach leadership, of course, and I've talked to people in the classes, and they give examples that, their boss got so mad at them that they threw an ashtray at their head when we still had ashtrays, They were so upset, screaming at them in the office and this sort of stuff. So that's the old days. But how do you handle mistakes in your case in this company?
Or first, depending what you are meaning with fails. Fails, of course, when you are trying something, sometimes you fail. And concretely, if I am pushing to take risks, I am very indulgent also on the fail, to really understand, to really follow them, to make sure they are not taking the fail for them, but for us. It's a teamwork every time. And once again, I have the responsibility, but it's a teamwork. So we fail, it's not one fail. And after, to understand how to not repeat it. So this is the first thing. After you have the fail, if people is failing to complete his mission, to meet his, not to meet his target, but to to take the position. And I had some people like that. That means when I took the company, we had 8 stores, but I closed one, so 7 stores. The web was quite nothing. B2B corporate was nothing as well. We increased everything. We have 13 stores, the first market for retail in the world. And some, I don't want to speak about fail, but was not able to follow the development. Because today, and I know I'm changing everyone, I change a lot of mindset, I change the business format, I am changing everything. And some are not able to follow everything. And same thing, it was just to follow them, to say, it's not a fail. It's not a fail at all. It's just you are more skilled to work in this kind of business than the new business I am building. I'm sorry for that for sure, but it will be better for you to go to another company to express yourself differently. Voilà. So it's not a fail, it's really to follow everyone in the fail as well. Not in the fail, but in the weakness. It's some weak point or something like this, and to say, here it's a weak point. In other company, it will be a force, it will be a strength. So, voilà. So
you have a strong sports background, and I'm sure you've probably seen the change over the decades. I mean, when I was young, halftime in the rugby or any sporting event in Australia, coaches in the dressing sheds, he's yelling at them and getting them all pumped up and go out there and kill the opposition type of thing. But today, they don't do that. They don't do that. They realize who you are as a personality and how you work and how you operate. And for some people, particularly in Australia, Indigenous players, Aboriginal players, Islander players, they don't want pressure. And so for those individuals, they say, Benjamin, beautiful day today for rugby. Go out and enjoy your game. That's the limit of the pressure. But for other people, it's like, we're paying you a lot of money here, Benjamin. We expect to see some tries. Come on, get out there, make it happen. And they're actually calculating one by one with the players on how each player will respond best to what they need to get as a group outcome. Very sophisticated, very, very sophisticated. And I think that's something that, again, you're touching on, that you're seeing people individually of how they'll need to be handled, touched, and directed, and how you speak with them and whatever. So that's very sophisticated today, I think. And I think sports has really led that because it's changed a lot.
I'm sure about that, but what you say is really real. So that means I am really thinking in their individuality. And this is also a force, I guess, every time my door is open. And I said to them, the time we need to discuss with them. So sometimes they came, they just set a 30 minutes meeting, and I know sometimes I am the fan of that, to stop to make, of course, 1 hour meeting, but to reduce the time. But for them, we said 30 minutes, we speak for 2 hours. It's not a problem. And sometimes it's like that because they need to speak. They need to express themselves, and I need to reply. We need to find the way. And never, for example, I let them going back without an agreement, I want to say, at the end of the discussion. This is really important.
If someone called you up and said, Benjamin, you've been in Japan a long time, been running organizations there, I'm being sent out to Japan to run my company's organization there. I don't know about Japan. I don't speak Japanese. How would I be an effective leader in Japan? What advice would you give them?
If you really don't know nothing about Japan, I will say to you, okay, please go, take it, and think about what's happened. But take it easy, don't go too fast, and listen everyone, and work with everyone. This, I guess, is really the most important, and keep being yourself, but don't be so much yourself as well at the beginning.
Also, there's a bit of a contradiction there sometimes, isn't there?
Because this is Japan.
Often the people they're sending into Japan are being sent in like you were as a change agent, right? They're not going there to run the ship. They're going there to turn the ship in a different direction. So they get on the plane to come out to Japan. They've got their bosses, words ringing in their ear. You got to make it happen in Japan. If you don't make it happen, you're gone. They got that in their ear. So take your time, talk to people. They're not thinking that. They're thinking, hey, we got to get it going. The clock's running. Go, let's go. Come on, push. So how do you advise them to deal with that headquarter pressure with the Japan reality?
This is a very good question. And I guess and I hope these people coming here without no knowledge about Japan will be strong. Because you need to be strong to convince everyone in the HQ. Because if you came in Japan just because you love Japan and you say, okay, I will implement the global strategy easily, you are wrong. So you need to be there, and that's why you need to analyze and quickly if you don't know nothing, but quickly, and to report and to come back and to say what you said. It will take time. Anyway, it will take time. It will be faster than Japanese timing, but it will take time. So you need to have a real force of convincement. You need to convince everyone. And this, it is honestly what I am convinced, not only in Japan, but in France, in everywhere, en fait. You need to work in a company, in a group, in everywhere. It's a win-win situation. So if you are here, it's not for nothing. So you can come back to your HQ and say, okay, I'm here for something. So because you are trusting in me to make the job. So please keep trusting in me. Voilà, if you are not feeling it.
And what about language? Should they learn Japanese?
By myself. I tried 20 years ago after work to have some class, but no time. I came to maybe two classes and I gave up.
Okay.
So
should they learn Japanese?
Well, no, it was really complex and it was focused on the writing, the speaking. So I have to choose my fight. So I keep at this moment, so a long time ago, to work every morning, to write my katakana and hiragana and everything, with my cornflakes, and to write by myself.
Very good.
And because I was traveling every year in Japan, I met a lot of people, and they were speaking only Japanese. So I was a little bit challenging myself to speak Japanese. So sometimes to have a big dinner party, coming back to sleep, and to say, what was the language I was speaking with? Everyone understood everything, so it was amazing. I was not speaking very well Japanese, not at all. And that's all. And after, my wife, but she's fluent in French, so we are speaking a lot French at home, I want to say. But, and after, I guess, what I learned with just living in Japan, just in contact with Japanese people, they know that I have a big limit in Japanese, to be honest. I have a good conversational level to speak with everyone, but after going deeper in business, it's quite challenging for myself.
Yeah.
So just to speak about that, what is very interesting is the way how they are supporting myself. When we are in a business meeting, when they are close to me, and I am fighting myself to speak Japanese as much as I can, to be understandable as much as I can, and sometimes they come to me to say, "Wait, what you want to say is blah 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 blah," in Japanese. So it's amazing. So that's why we created really a strange relationship. I am like that, a little bit sensitive sometimes, but we are like that. It's emotional.
One other topical thing too at the moment is AI. And how do you think about the impact of AI in leadership? Because AI is with us. It's rapidly changing, constantly changing and moving. And we are, adapting to it. Some companies are firing people because they don't need them anymore because the AI can do those repetitious tasks. Others are not. But from the leadership point of view, how do you think about leading your team through this big change in AI?
Maybe it will be challenging, honestly speaking. I am not, at this moment, a big fan of AI. So I keep very traditional way to manage people and the business. Inside the group as well is new. So we are talking more and more about AI, but we are quite young on that. And personally, I keep thinking that at this stage, we need to make it by yourself.
Okay.
So I really well understand we can save a lot of time, we can make it, but what I am also explaining to my daughter every day is, okay, you can use the Google search, this is the first AI, and after AI to bring some information or something, but you have to trust in the source and you have to confirm the source. Yeah. So you have to make a job. So it's another job, but it will take also your time. Yeah. And same thing here. And same thing, it is what I heard everywhere around myself as well. So, I am today, for myself, to be honest, I am not confident to use AI serenely.
Interesting. What's your definition of leadership?
How to empower everyone. This is empowering. is really to drive. Is how you can make everyone is not only behind you but in your side to move ahead. And this, for me, this is leadership. You are not the best. You are not the best in the place. You are not the genius, or I don't know. You are just somebody who can make a raise everyone, and this is really important. And the best would be to be a leader with the genius everywhere. More than you. Perfect. More than you.
You don't get that.
I don't care. Voilà.
Even if you get a team of geniuses together, they get offered jobs from other countries and they leave, and you've got to bring in new people anyway. You never get to the perfect situation. For sure. It's always changing, right?
Of course.
Always changing. Well, Benjamin, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very, very fascinating today. And so please join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.